Hello and welcome to this lesson as we proceed with Bible knowledge in Form 3. In this lesson, we are going to look at the Assyrian threats on Jerusalem. So we are going to look at the threats of the Assyrians on Jerusalem. We are going to base much on Isaiah chapter 36 from verse 1 up to chapter 37 up to verse 7. It is indeed the time of King Hezekiah. So as we looked at it last time, the previous lesson, when we were introducing how Ahaz interacted, how Isaiah interacted with King Hezekiah, we were laying the background of King Hezekiah, who was King Hezekiah, and a summary of his life. So we looked at a lot of things there. So I am your teacher, Wisdom Mawowa. Be there and follow through up to the end. By the end of this lesson, it is expected that you are going to learn more about the Assyrian threat of Jerusalem basing on Isaiah chapter 36 up to chapter 37. So it is indeed, just as I pointed out earlier, that we are towards the end of Proto-Isaiah, or the analysis of first Isaiah. So I guess to this far, you have taken much of the information from there. So at first we looked at chapters 1 up to chapter 11, then we jumped there. Now we are studying chapter 36 up to chapter 38, 39. Then from there, chapter 40 is Isaiah. So be with me as we go through. The Assyrians threatened Jerusalem. So remember the Good News Bible to be with you, and it's indeed important that you read this section, or these 2 chapters or 3 chapters or 4 chapters, 36 up to 38. Read it, then you'll be okay. Where had the Assyrians camped at this time? So maybe for an introduction, let me try to read through or go through a bit of this part. Chapter 36. I'm reading from the Good News Bible. Verse 1. In the 14th year that Hezekiah was king of Judah, Sennacherib, the emperor of Assyria, attacked the fortified cities of Judah and captured them. Then he ordered his chief official to go from Lachish to Jerusalem with a large military force to demand that King Hezekiah should surrender. The official occupied the road where the clothmakers work by the ditch that brings water from the upper pond. I've just read 2 verses, verse 1 and verse 2. But you have to continue going down up to the end. It's indeed a good part if you read that one. So just from where we read, where did the Assyrians camp? Where did they camp? So we see there they camped at a place known as Lachish. Now, why? What was the reason why Sennacherib sent his chief official from Lachish to Jerusalem? So we see there, we have also read that they had one message to deliver to King Hezekiah. What was the message? To demand that King Hezekiah and the people of Judah should surrender. Now, who were the Judean officials who came to meet the Assyrian official? Now, there it's really important. I think that we know what happened there. In verse 3, 3 Judeans came to meet him. The official in charge of the palace, Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the court secretary, Shebna, and the official in charge of the records, Joah, son of Asaph. So from verse 3, we get the answer. What's the answer? Who are the people mentioned there? We have read there that the people who came to meet them were Eliakim, who was in charge of the palace, then Shebna, who was the court secretary, then Joah, who was in charge of courts. So those are the three people who came to meet with the Assyrian officials sent by Sennacherib. Now, the points in the Assyrian official's speech, what were the points that he said? Maybe because it's interesting. You need at least to find time, read the whole story. But I will just take you a bit. Verse 4, the Assyrian official told them that the emperor wanted to know what made King Hezekiah so confident. He demanded, do you think the words can take the place of military skill and mind? Do you think will help you? What do you think will help you rebel against Assyria? You are expecting Egypt to help you, but that would be like using a reed as a walking stick. It would break and jab your hand. That is what the king of Egypt is like when anyone relies on him. That is up to verse 6 now. So the points, they go on and on. So some of them that we get from there are these. Say, mere words cannot substitute military skill and power. That's what the Assyrian official said. They should not rely on Egypt because she is weak and cannot help them. Their king Hezekiah deceives them when he tells them to rely on Yahweh. Their army is far much unskilled if compared to the Assyrian army. So these are the points that the Assyrian official pointed out. He was talking to the people there to say, no, don't listen to the king. He is telling you to rely on Yahweh. Remember, we said that King Hezekiah relied on Yahweh. Even during this threat, we see to it that he relied on Yahweh. So he came, or these Assyrian officials, when they came with the threat, then they told them that no, only words that you are talking here, they cannot substitute military skill. The Lord is bringing judgment on Judah using Assyrians as his instrument. It was God who sent Assyrians to punish them. The Assyrian God has proved to be stronger than any other God, including Yahweh. Sennacherib will take care of the Jews and resettle them in another land where they will eat their own produce. So these are the statements of the Assyrian official. So all these are the statements of the Assyrian official. So which nation was likened to a reed in the speech of the Assyrian official? So we see it is Egypt. So why was Egypt likened to a reed in this speech? So we see that Egypt was said to be a weak nation. As such, it would break and jab their hands. It would not support them to rely on. So that's why it was referred to a reed. A reed, it can break easily, a reed. So it breaks easily. Why did the Assyrian official believe that God would not listen to King Hezekiah or would not save Judah? Why did these officials believe that one? It is because Hezekiah had destroyed God's shrines. So they are God's shrines. That is the gods of the Assyrians. So they said, even God cannot help you. it was God who sent the Assyrians to punish them. Remember in the speech, we just outlined this to say, he said that God would not help them, and it was God who had sent the Assyrians to punish the Jews. The Assyrian God was stronger than any other God, including Yahweh. So we see there that also this Assyrian official said that, no, the Assyrian gods, they are very strong than any other gods, or including Yahweh. What are the military arguments raised in the speech? So in the military arguments that he said, mere words cannot substitute military skill and power. He also said that they should not rely on Egypt because she is weak and cannot help them. He also pointed out that their army, the army of Assyria or the army of Egypt, the army of the Jews, is far much unskilled if compared to the Assyrian army. So these are the military arguments that he said. Say, you are very weak, you are unskilled, you are unskilled. We have a strong army like that. What are the religious arguments that were raised there in the argument? Their king Hezekiah deceived them when he tells them to rely on Yahweh. To say, don't rely on the speech of Hezekiah, to rely on God. The Lord is bringing judgment on Judah using Assyrians as his instrument. It was God who sent Assyrians to punish them. And also, the Assyrian God has proved to be stronger than any other God, including Yahweh. So we see there in those arguments that he is saying that God is weak. God, Yahweh, is weaker than the Assyrian God. So also he's saying that, okay, if you believe in God, it is the same God of yours is the same who has sent the Assyrians, who has sent us to punish you because you have sinned against your God. So maybe he was right, because remember in the early chapters, they were the sins of Judah. The sins of Judah that we talked about, where God reprimanded the sins of the people. State the political argument of the official. Now, in the speech, he also outlined that they should not rely on Egypt because she is weak and cannot help them. So that one is a political argument as well as a military argument. And what proposal did the Assyrian official give if people surrendered? So he also gave them the option to say, all right, you are going to have something. He said that Sennacherib, the emperor, the king of Assyria, would treat the Jews well in their own land or take them to a land better than Judah. So we see here that he told them that, if you surrender, then our king is going to be good to you. He's going to take you from your land and he's going to give you another land. Suggest now the reasons why the people had to surrender according to the Assyrian official. Why were they to surrender? Why do they have to surrender? So the Jews had no protection and would soon be defeated. So it's better just to surrender, because if you just stand on your arguments, it will not assist you. Just surrender, because there is no one to protect you. Sennacherib would treat the Jews well in their own land, and Sennacherib would take them to a land better than Judah. So he said, if you surrender, you are going to be given a very good land. So those were the reasons that the official said you should surrender, or the Jews should surrender. What language did the Assyrian official use in his speech? So he was using Hebrew. He was using Hebrew and talking just loud to anyone there. So why did the Assyrian official use that language, that is the Hebrew? Why did he use that? So there we see that he wanted even to the common people to get the message and pressurize their king to surrender. So here is another good part there. We see on verse 11, it says, Then Eliakim, Shebna, and Joah said to the official, Speak Aramaic to us. We understand it. Don't speak Hebrew. All the people on the wall are listening. He replied, Do you think you and the king are the only ones the emperor sent me to say all these things to? No, I am also talking to the people who are sitting on the wall, who will have to eat their excrement and drink their urine just as you will. Look at that. So it was really a serious issue. Imagine someone has come from uh, Tanzania to bring an official message to the president of Malawi. Then, instead of going straight to the state house, then he just drops maybe drops the from the airport there. Then he starts speaking to the Malawians just anyhow. Tanzania is going to get this land. We are going to put our ships there. We'll extract oil from this Lake Malawi. Everyone here must understand this, but that message is directed to the president, and that official from Tanzania is speaking just to anyone as he goes to the state house. How can you feel about that? So this is what happened. So, and worse still, the message maybe is sent to be in English, and he's that one from Tanzania. He drops off from the airport there, and as he goes to the state house, he's speaking Chichewa all alone. We are still under Nyanjai, Tanzania, whatever there. Then that's when the officials now, Shebna, Eliakim, and Joah, they asked the official, please, 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 please speak in English. We understand English. Everyone is listening to what you are. This is an official message. Then see what he says. He says, do you think we have brought this message only to you? This message is also to these people who are going to face the consequences. What were the consequences? We're going to say it, but he talked tough there. So, what rude prediction did the Assyrian officials say about the people of Judah? So, see what he said. They would eat their excrement, they would drink their urine. To say, when that punishment comes, no one is going to survive here. People are going to eat their excrement. Can someone eat excrement? Can someone eat feces? No. So that's what he's saying. So it was really a serious issue. These people are going to drink their urine. Look at that. What demand did the Judean officials make to the Assyrian official? To use Aramaic, the official language, which was the official language. Now, why did the Judean official make such a demand to the Assyrian official? They felt the issue was more diplomatic than for public consumption. They thought the people of Judah would riot against the king, forcing him to surrender so as to avoid trouble. So they were begging him to say, no, this is an official message. It should be spoken in English. Not everyone should get this message. So they did that in order to be more diplomatic, so that should not be for public consumption and to avoid people rioting against their own king, King Hezekiah. Discuss how what Hezekiah's officials did to the common people is similar to what happens in Malawi today. So politicians, sometimes they make decisions without consulting common Malawians to say, these are most official things. The president said this, the cabinet says this. But we say it's a democratic country. The views of the people must rule. But you find that most politicians, they make their own decisions without consulting the people. And politicians sometimes do not explain their actions to common Malawians. And also, public officers sometimes take advantage of the illiterate level of Malawian to lie to them. you find that uh, people who are holding offices, they take advantage of those people who are illiterate. Then they just speak lies. We are going to do this. This one is already underway. This also is the medicine for cancer is already underway. This is already there. All lies, taking advantage of the people. Malawians sometimes are not given adequate chances to voice out their concerns on issues that affect them. So there are times when people are not given chances to voice out what they are thinking. Describe the reaction of the people. So here we see a strange reaction of the people. They kept quiet, just as King Hezekiah had told them. They did not say a word. So look at them. The people, although they heard that threat from the Assyrian official, they kept quiet. They did not turn against their king. They were just quiet, just as the king had told them to be. Describe the reactions of the Judean officials. So when the Judean officials heard that, what did they do? This one, I'll do this. I'll read somewhere people on verse 22. Then Eliakim, Shebna, and Joah tore their clothes in grief and went and reported to the king what the Assyrian official had said. So they tore their clothes to say, "We are nothing. We have been humiliated. We have been undressed by this Assyrian official." So they tore their clothes. They went and reported to the king. They went and reported to the king what the Assyrian official had said. They put on the sackcloth. Look at that as a sign of grief, to say the message that is there is a bad message. Describe the reaction of the king to the speech. So when the king heard about it, what did he do? What did he do? Now, on chapter 37, verse 1, as soon as the King Hezekiah heard their report, he tore his clothes in grief, put on sackcloth, and went to the temple to the Lord. And also verse 2, he sent Eliakim to the official in charge of the palace, Shebna, the court secretary, and the senior priest to the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos. They were also wearing sackcloth. So we see here, what was his reaction according to what we have read? He put on sackcloth, he tore his clothes in grief, he went to the temple of the Lord, he sent his officials with the message to Isaiah, the prophet of God. Look at it. We analyzed about King, or the character of King Hezekiah, to say that he was an outstanding person in faith because he had faith in God. He tore his clothes. He put on sackcloth. He did not just leave it there. He went to the temple and he sent for Isaiah, the prophet of God, to say, Isaiah, hear about what these people are saying. Mention the officials Hezekiah sent to the prophet. They were the same officials, except Joah, who is not mentioned. Eliakim, Shebna is mentioned, and the senior priest are mentioned here. Relate Hezekiah's message to prophet Isaiah. Today is a day of suffering. We are punished and are in disgrace. We are like a woman who is ready to give birth but is too weak to do it. Sennacherib, through his official, insults the living God. May the Lord hear these insults and punish those who speak them. Pray to God for the survivors. That one we need to go through. Then, verse 3. This chapter 37, verse 3. This is the message which he told them to give to Isaiah. Today is a day of suffering. We are being punished and are in disgrace. We are like a woman who is ready to give birth but is too weak to do it. The Assyrian emperor has sent his chief official to insult the living God. May the Lord your God hear these insults and punish those who spoke them. So pray to God for those of our people who survive. So look at that. So all what have been outlined here is the message, So remember, when sometimes you are asked a question, remember to outline the message just as it is. The points, the bullets are very, very important as you answer your questions. Describe Isaiah's response to King Hezekiah's message. Now, let's see Isaiah. When Isaiah received, that is verse 5, chapter 37, verse 5. When Isaiah received King Hezekiah's message, he sent back this answer. The Lord tells you not to let the Assyrians frighten you by their claims that he cannot save you. The Lord will cause the emperor to hear a rumor that will make him go back to his own country, and the Lord will have him killed there. So what was his response? Do not let the Assyrians frighten you. The Lord will cause the emperor to hear a rumor that will make him go back to Assyria. The Lord will have him killed there. So that's what Isaiah replied to the king. How did King Hezekiah show faith in God in this situation? We mentioned that King Hezekiah was a faithful person. In this situation, when the Assyrian officials threatened him, how did he show faith? After getting the message, we see that he went to the temple of the Lord. That's number one. Number two, he consulted Isaiah, God's prophet, ready to follow his advice. He consulted Isaiah. Number three, he asked Isaiah to pray to Yahweh for the people of Judah. And number four, he believed that Yahweh would punish Sennacherib. So in all his statements, in all his reaction, we see that Hezekiah was indeed a man of faith. He had good faith in God. Now, to this far, we have come to the end of our lesson today, where we are looking at the threats of the Assyrians when they sent their officials. So there then, it's something else that we are looking at. So I have also extracted a manual question from some time back, should be 1998, way back. It was the same, from the same passage from where we looked at. So this is the work. How can you answer this question? How can you get these 20 marks to yourself? So try to answer this. Give me the response. I'll send back the feedback to you. So if you have any question, please, you can you can ask any question related to the content that we are learning. And for further consultation on other subjects, please follow xulendo.org. And for references, you can as well get through this other work again that will also assist you so much. To this far, I thank you so much for your attention. I am your teacher, W.A. Mawowa. Listen to the voice of substance.